Hello and welcome back to my channel. I am Elaine and I am sharing with you all my journey as I embark on relocating to British Columbia from the UK. Whether you are a returning subscriber or new to the channel, welcome, and it's good to have you with us another time. If you enjoy today's video, don't forget to like, share, comment and subscribe to get future updates. Today I will be looking at the new process of registering as an internationally educated nurse with a quick overview of the old process. The process is now an interlinked process between BCCNM, NCAS, Provincial Ministry of Health and Health Match BC. The old system, which was a system that I used, was an 8-step process which started with NNAS. This was followed by an application to BCCNM, who would then assess your English language proficiency and to see if you're eligible to register for provisional registration. If they are not happy that you meet the requirement for provisional registration, then you would have to do the transitional education, be referred to NCAS, and from NCAS you would then get referred back to BCCNM. You may be eligible for provisional registration at that point. So this new process started in January this year, January 2023, where BCCNM was piloting this new registration process for international nurses, as they found that the waiting time to get registered as a registered nurse was taking a very long time. And they also found that a lot of internationally educated nurses were not working as a nurse despite being in Canada. And also there is a shortage of nurses right across the world. If you go to the BCCNM website and under the internationally educated section, it will say 1 is how to apply to NCAS, 2 how to apply to BCCNM, and you can apply for both. You can apply to both the NCAS and the BCCNM at the same time, so you don't need to wait for one to apply for the other. Under how to apply, you will find information about how to get registered with Nursing Community Assessment Service, NCAS, and they are responsible for getting your English language proficiency done, as well as your educational credentials assessed. Of note, if you did your studies in Australia, New Zealand, the United Kingdom or the United States, you may not have to complete a competency assessment. The second heading, apply to BCCNM. All you need to submit to them is, once you've made your application as an internationally educated nurse, you register and then you attach a copy of your CV, and as mentioned in my previous video, you submit all the other documents that they may ask for that will support your application. You then need to provide information about your employer, your areas of practice, the number of hours you have worked, and how long you have been employed for. You also need to submit information about the regulatory bodies that you're registered with, which is NMC here in the UK. The next thing that you need to look at is your final requirement, and this is where BCCNM reviews all your document that they've received from NCAS, and a detailed version of that is in a separate video. Link will be below in the description box. Fourth step is provisional registration, and the registration exam. If you click on the NCAS website, you will find that it covers if you're seeking a license with British Columbia or Maritime Canada or Saskatchewan. As mentioned, this video is mainly covering British Columbia, so feel free to click on any of the links that you may be interested in, or the other provinces that you may be interested in. The first thing that you will find on the NCAS website under how to apply is how you create an account, an online account with NCAS. Talk about the application form, identification documents that they will need, how to apply to BCCNM, how to access information about the bursary, as well as to see if your fees will be waived. And this is through info@NursingJobsBC.ca. Also to apply to have your education credential documents assessed, and how you can submit proof of English language skills if needed. There is a complete checklist. If you click on the download the checklist here, that is a very detailed checklist of the information that you need to have and submit. How to create an online account. Once you click that link, you need to have an email address. You choose a password specific for NCAS and set up security question for security purposes, and also it needs your identifiable data such as name, date of birth, and of course contact information and your address. Once you've done that, you will be issued with an NCAS ID number. That ID number you will use on your application form and also on all correspondence to NCAS. On the application form, actual application form, as mentioned, it asks for your ID number, needs information, your full name, address. It needed your address, and it also wanted you to state the province you're expecting to apply for, and you can only apply for one province at a time. By selecting or deciding to go ahead, then of course you're saying that yes, you want the information that they have gathered to be sent to British Columbia College of Nurses and Midwives. It asks for information such as your post-secondary healthcare education and training. It seeks the level or type of education you have received, the profession that you trained for, where that training had taken place, how long the training was, and was the teaching or was it delivered in English or in another language, and wanted to know, did you complete this program? This reminds me of the NNAS detailed credential assessment form, where it asks for similar information. Also, they now need to know where you are planning to get your credential reviewed, and I have covered the 5 agencies in a previous video. As mentioned before, NCAS is responsible for getting your English language proficiency reviewed, and you have an option of getting your English language assessed by CELBAN or IELTS academic, or transcript from a completed program in Canada, which you'd have had to have done an English test prior to doing any studies in Canada if you're an international student, or an employer reference form, and confirmation of primary and secondary school completion in Canada. So once you've done that, you need to sign a NCAS acknowledgement, release and consent agreement. Sign in to say you are consenting that they will collect information about you, the applicant, and that they will disclose that information to BCCNM or to persons who they work with. You also need to have an NCAS demographic voluntary questionnaire, and you consent to collection of personal information such as your gender, your age, have you lived in Canada before, which country you were born in, your race category, or we tend to say ethnicity here in the UK. The application form also asks for healthcare roles that you have held in the past. They normally just need the recent jobs that you have worked in. So I would say put only the jobs that are nursing or nursing related. Next heading, identification documents. You need to get these notarized and translated in English. And information that most internationally educated nurses need to know is what is the fee. And for a triple track, which is RN, LPN and HCA, the total fee is 3,000 Canadian dollars. For registered nurse, it's still 3,000 Canadian dollars. When I was going through the process, you had to pay a separate fee to be considered as a healthcare assistant or as a licensed practical nurse. Hence, I went straight for the RN, and that was shared in a previous video. Another website that you may come across whilst you are researching information about getting to Canada as an internationally educated nurse is NursingJobsBC.ca. This body was also established as a means of helping internationally educated nurses, and this is powered by Health Match BC, and it does cover a lot of information from bursary to jobs to the various health authorities to the various places that you can live in British Columbia. So I have found that information new, and on their website as well, they do recommend that you get your documentation assessed by NCAS, as well as guide you through the process of getting registered using Health Match. Visiting the website, the NCAS website, it is very detailed in terms of getting your documents or getting yourself ready for registration as an IEN. The first step is get ready. The second step is to apply to NCAS. The third step is to share your documents with NCAS. The fourth step is, after they have reviewed those documents, is getting assessed. And the fifth step is go to the regulator, which is British Columbia College of Nurses and Midwives. And that is the end of the NCAS journey. Don't forget, like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell. See you in our next video.